Alright, long time no see. I'm going to apologise though, because A, you won't hear me, and B, I haven't done anything wrong. But what I'm going to do now is a quick, hopefully, you know what I'm like, a quick review on the iPad Air. Because I've had it for long enough now to have a bit of a blast on it and tell you what I honestly think about it. And is it worth your money? Especially if you've got a previous generation iPad, pad, or if you're just in the market for a tablet, or you're thinking of switching from an Android tablet to an Apple tablet, you know. This is just my opinion. Obviously it's right, because it's my opinion, so it only matters to me. And that was a phone vibrating. And this is awkward, because everything's kicking off. I should have put things on mute, shouldn't I, before I started. But anyway, I'll make a start. Now what I've done, cleverly, I made a little list on the old iPad of the good points, the bad points, and the other points, okay? And these are just according to me, so, you know, they're not set in stone or anything, you know, these are just what I think. So let's go through what I think is the good points. Right, I've muted all the notifications now, so I'll be able to concentrate without the noises. So, what was I saying? Good point, the size, screen size, and sort of coupled with the overall size. I was torn between getting a sort of mini version, you know, the small, what do they call it? iPad mini? Yeah, that's it, the mini version. Or the full size iPad Air. Now I've had the iPad 1, I've had the iPad 2. Now what normally happens with me is I end up just not using them. They sit there, they gather dust, and they start to annoy me. I got the Note 8. First of all, hang on, slow it down. I had a lot of coffee today. First of all, I had the Note 10.1, which I replaced my initial iPad 2 with, because I thought it could be more productive with the pen and make it a bit more like a computer, etc. But then it turned out that was a little bit too big for me, so I got rid of that and got the Note 8. And as it turned out, that annoyed me because of Android tablets. Now, before you hate me to death and write underneath that I don't know what I'm talking about, yeah, you're probably right. But I love Android. I think it's a fantastic operating system, right? But as far as tablets go, the applications, when you've got a tablet or a phone, you've got the operating system and you've got the applications. Obviously, you've got other things as well, you know, so you've got widgets with Android and things like that. But my point is, when you've got an iPad, the operating system, in my opinion, is poor. It's boring, it's not very customizable, it's a bit naff. Whereas with Android, you've got a brilliant operating system that's very customizable, you can do whatever you want with it. But when you're within an app, in an Android tablet, it's just basically a blown up phone app. Most of the time. Not all the time, most of the time. Whereas with iOS, on your iPad, the applications themselves are fantastic. They're made for the screen size, they're optimized, yeah? So when you're in the apps, it's a better tablet experience than when you're in the apps on an Android tablet, in my opinion. I still think Android is a more fun operating system, but basically what I'm saying is when you're in an app, the iPad's better. When you're out of an app, an Android tablet's better. But because the whole point of a tablet for me is to be in it doing something, I have to look past the fact that I don't like iOS 7 and I like the actual full-blown apps that are within there. So that was a bit of a ramble, off topic. Well, that wasn't off topic, off bullet point. I'm really sorry that I'm talking this fast, especially if you're not English and from the north, because you probably can't understand me. So I'll try and slow it down a little bit. So the size is one thing that I liked. I like the fact that even though it's the full-size screen that the other iPads had, it just feels, with it taking this border off the side, I'll go out with it, I'll grab it in my hand, I'll take it with me to a coffee shop. Yes, I am that idiot that sits there browsing on a tablet, but it's just that nice size to take with me. Another inch and I'd be like, no, I ain't taking it. So that goes with the sort of how light it is, and it's just a nice form factor. When you're browsing the web, it's big enough to feel like you're not on a phone, but small enough to sort of justify it not being your laptop. So the size is a good thing for me. The weight, that goes with it as well, you know, it's light. Although it's not as light as I was led to believe it was lighter than air when I first got it. If you watch my unboxing, you'd realise that it's not as light as I thought it was. Although the amount of times I've laid in bed on it and stuff now, and the weight you put on your thumbs, we don't know we're born these days, do we, you know? When our granddads were in the war and everything. Anyway, heavy tablet, first world problems. So yeah, the size, the weight, the screen, the quality, the pixels per inch. Now I don't know exactly what they are, I don't care what they are, to be honest. It just looks nice, all right? It's pretty. I don't know if it's better than what the Android offer at the minute. The Android offer. But I just think there's a point when you get to so many pixels per inch, it doesn't really matter because you can't really distinguish the pixels. It's a nice screen, it's a crisp screen. Now you know that I like my AMOLED screens, if you've watched any of my videos before, that's why I stick with the Samsung stuff. But this IPS display, whatever it's called, it does a nice job. The blacks aren't as black as they are in AMOLED, but I like the quality of it. I like the fact that everything looks, you know, there's no pixely view. It's got to that, well, past that spot of whatever the perfect amount of pixels are. What else? Battery life. Boom, I'm a big battery life fan. That's a stupid thing to be, you know, but I don't know what I mean by that. But, well, I do. I like a battery that I'm not forever having to charge every 2 minutes. Now, this has just come off the charger for tonight. You can't see that because you're probably out of focus. It's on 100%. Now, if you're going to batter this, I don't mean like hit it with a stick, I mean use it constantly. Play videos, play games, if that's what you do. Take notes, which I use it a lot for writing notes in meetings and planning my videos and stuff on it, because I do other videos even though you've not seen me around for a while. And it is like an actual pad, but instead of it being made out of paper, it's made out of really expensive glass and other things, which is a point I'll get back to later. What have I done? I've broken it and I haven't broken it. So yeah, the battery life is phenomenal. You get a good 2 days out of it, even if you're on it constantly, or I do. So the battery life on the previous ones is about the same as this apparently, but although this is a bit more powerful with a smaller battery, with a better processor that handles the power better. So yeah, if you're looking for something that's going to last you all day, this will last you all day. It will definitely last you a full day, even if you're doing everything on it. It will last you 2 days if you're using it sort of medium to sort of the higher end of medium use. So that's another good point about it. App selection goes without saying, not going to spend too long on this, but there's an app for it. There's an app for everything. There's an app for telling you what the best apps are. The apps themselves are fantastic. They look polished. They have to stick to a specific format. They look really good. I really like the apps. All the apps I use, I'm not an app junkie. In fact, I've only got one screen of apps, that's it. And I know a lot of those are in folders, but there's not, I don't have that many apps on it. But the apps you want, goes without saying, without me telling you, you know that iOS has probably got a better selection of apps, or a bigger selection of apps, or bigger and better, actually, in my opinion, which is what we're talking about, my opinion. Slow it down again. Right, regular updates. It's not like when you're on an Android tablet, I'm only going to get Crouton version 7, am I on Onion 1? There's none of that, and I don't think Android operating systems are named after vegetables and stuff that goes in soup. But you know what I mean. You know when the next update comes out, you'll get it. Unless you've got something that's about 3 years old, then it'll be discontinued. But generally, it's a big release, they tell everyone about it, and you know when to get it. Whereas when you're on Android, a little bit fragmented, depending on who you're with. So it's a fairly steady upgrade, update path. So I kind of like that. You know, it's something to look forward to, isn't it? Instead of saying, you know, on the Note 3 now, KitKat's coming out this millennium, you know. But that doesn't always matter. Anyway, that's a different subject. These people that chase updates constantly get a bit lost in the fact that the update they're on now is the one they were chasing last time. Moving on. Lots of accessories. Yeah, you can get loads of cases, loads of speaker docks, even though they changed the socket on this one. There's just loads of stuff for it. If you want a case that suits you, a folio case, a keyboard case. Now I know that goes without saying for most tablets these days, but it's a guarantee if you've got one of these, there's going to be a billion things for it. Not exactly a billion, don't quote me on that, but there's going to be a lot, alright? So those are all the things that I do like about it. Now let's go on to the things that I don't like. Number one, boring operating system. Now that's not essential. If you're buying this thing for playing games, for doing work, for specific like social communications, etc., the OS itself doesn't really matter to a certain degree, it's the applications. But I don't know if you know, if you're an Android fan or what, but this pull down thing at the top, it never seems to update. You know on Android you get like all the different icons at the top, you pull it down, you say, oh, I've got 5 emails, I've got this, I've got that, I've got the other. You get an initial, like now, I've just got a pop down, blink, something comes down there and it tells you something, which is great. But then when you pull it down again, it just, like now, I just got a Facebook notification, it's not there. All? Is it under all? Yeah, it is under all. It's there. I'm not trying to say that it doesn't do it. It does do it. It just doesn't seem as logical. It doesn't. I just want little icons, and when I pull down, them to be there. They don't seem to clear themselves, and that goes hand in hand with the boring operating system. You've got the squares. You can move the squares around. You can change the picture on the background. Whereas obviously with Android, you can make it do anything you want. Now this isn't a direct comparison with Android. To me, I use an Android phone, I use an Apple tablet. I just think the operating system itself is boring, and I wish that they would make it not just cartoonified, but more feel like a computer. More feel like a computer. That should be a term. Moving on. Next, what else didn't I like? Bad points. Customization. That goes with the boring OS, so you know you can't really do a lot with it other than change the wallpapers. Apple lockdown. Things like any app that you want to share, you can share by Facebook and Twitter, but as you know, with Android, I'm going to get so killed for this. You can share anything within reason, and you can do a lot more sort of customization. The Apple lockdown goes hand in hand with the fact that every app on here costs about £13,000. Well, it doesn't actually, but I've just noticed that when I'm on Android, I don't seem to spend a lot of money on apps. I seem to get the apps I want without having to actually pay for them. There's always like a free equivalent or something pretty decent, even though these apps are better. But my SMS, for instance, messaging, text messaging, $2.99 on this, nothing on Android, and nothing on Windows Mobile. Windows Mobile, who gives a shit? But my point is, the apps are sort of, you always seem to pay a lot for them, but they're better, so you know, you get what you pay for. Screen shape. As much as I like the size and it's portable, it can go outside and things like that, I just think that when you've got the proper, when you're watching a film, that's all it's for. That's all my sort of, when you've got the proper letterbox, you know, like the Nexus 7 and stuff, for watching videos it looks better. Now it's a bit of a niggly point, I guess, because when you're browsing or doing Google Maps or anything else, it's actually quite a nice shape. But for films, if you're a big video consumer, you might want an Nexus 7 or something that's got the actual 16:9 screen format, so this crazy 9:7 diagonal. What else? Quick, get on with it. Price. They're expensive. I think it's 399, so it's 400 quid for the entry level one. Now this is the mid range. It's the 3G, 4G with the stupid black thing on the top there. 32 gig, so it's middle storage with the 4G thing in it, and this was about $14 billion. No, it's about 600 quid, which is a hell of a lot for a piece of glass that you play games on, and that does everything pretty much that a pad can do and a calculator. So you could just take those two things out of here and you'd be just as well off, and your battery would probably last you longer. But point is, you seem to pay a hell of a lot. They should sort of like slice at 100, maybe 200 quid off them, because I think for what you get, I mean, it's nice and I know you get what you pay for, but I'm sure it doesn't cost them as much as they claim it does to make these things. So I think you pay a little bit too much for them, personally. What else? User accounts. Yeah, if you've got one of these and the other half picks it up, you'd have to sign out of Facebook, sign out of Twitter, and sign again. And that's a fairly recent thing on the Android and the Nexus 10 and stuff. I quite like that. If you can pick up a device and then different people can log into it, I just think that's quite a nice touch. It wouldn't affect me, because even when you have that option, I don't use it. But I think if I know people that have families, a lot of people that have families. I've got a family. Well, I'm part of a family. I haven't got mine. Think. Yeah, you know, I personally wouldn't use it, but I know people that would like that, and I think it does make a difference on some of the bigger tablets, some of the like the Nexus 10. Stop rambling. Keep with it. Right. Other points, value for money. That goes back with what I'm saying with the cost. Although I do find myself using it a lot, I do really like it, and I would say I've had my value for money out of it. You know, I have used it a lot. It's come with me when I'm working away. I've taken a lot of notes on it. I've played the odd game on it. I've listened to music on it. The speaker on it, again, really good quality sound to me, in my opinion. It does sound well, even though it comes out of one side, which is a bit odd. But value for money, I think it depends on what you're willing to spend, and it depends if you're going to use it. Because I think with a tablet, the idea of a tablet is a lot better than the actual having a tablet and using it. I had it in my head when the iPad 1 came out, I must get one of those, I will use it for everything. And I got it, and I didn't really use it that much. I got the second one because I had the same plan, didn't really use it much. I got this one, and I'm kind of forcing myself to use it to a certain degree, but I am finding that with the funky cover, I stand up in the kitchen and I have videos playing when I'm doing the dishes and all that kind of rock and roll stuff. I do feel like, because it's snappier now and a bit smaller and a bit crisper screen, that I am using it more than ever. And when I'm making my videos, I always have my bullet point. Like now, I sort of go off, and you could say, well, you could write that on a pad. Yes, you could write that on a pad. And if you're going to buy it just for that, it's a bit stupid. But value for money, I just think they should knock about 100 quid off them and just start them at, instead of 399, 299. And I think they sell a lot more. You know, I just think they're asking that little bit too much, because they know people will buy them because they've got an Apple logo on, because that's why people buy a lot of their products. What else are my other points? Comparison to existing iPads. Now, going off what I just said then, you can do everything on this iPad that you can on the other iPads. No, you can do everything on other iPads that you can on this one. My mum's got the iPad 4, is it, with the same lightning port. My brother-in-law's got the one before, which is the same with a different port on the bottom. And they're equally as usable, but I find, because they're a little bit heavier and a bit bulkier, I know it sounds so finicky. Basically, if you've got an existing one, you've absolutely no reason at all whatsoever to buy the new one. But if you haven't got a tablet at all and you're in the market for a tablet, especially if you're not particularly technical and you don't know what the fuss is about, iPad is the way to go, and get the Air if you can, because it'll be more future-proof, it's a bit faster, it's a bit lighter. All the reasons that I mentioned earlier on. I know my mum has an iPad, she never puts it down. I know lots of people that you wouldn't expect to necessarily have one, very young, very old, have them. Wouldn't dream of giving like a Nexus 7 to a 4-year-old or to a 54-year-old. No, that's a bit too young to be old, isn't it, these days? Well, you know, 60, 70, you know, pensioner or a kid, one of these they go well with. But if you're going to buy things like that for old people and young people, you've got too much money. So stop doing that right now, because you're making the rest of us look bad when it comes to buying presents and stuff. Right, marks out of 10 overall. I'm going to give it a solid 7, I think. And that's like overall as a tablet, overall as a device you should or shouldn't buy. Again, it goes back to what I said previously. I think the idea of a tablet is a lot better than the actual practical application of a tablet. You will find yourself reaching for the laptop, reaching for the desktop, even though you've got one of these on the coffee table, and you just end up using it for browsing or pornography or something like that, you know. Not that I'd do that. Anyway, moving on. Should you buy it? It's up to you. If you've got a lot of money and you're in the market for something and you do a lot of traveling and you like playing games and you like taking notes and you want to use it like a mini laptop with the right case, with a keyboard, and you can justify it, definitely. If you think it's going to answer all your mobile computing problems like online shopping, designing, creating, editing and all that, you can do that kind of thing in it, but it's very limited compared to what they make it look like on the Apple adverts, because no one has friends that beautiful with footage that's been taken that well. So there is that to bear in mind. But should you or shouldn't you buy it? You shouldn't upgrade from an existing iPad unless you've got an iPad 1. Then I think you should. But if you've got any of the others, I really don't think you should, unless you really find the chugging and the updates aren't really doing it well. It depends on what you use it for and what you want it for. I think if you're in the market for a tablet computer and you've never had one before and you're not particularly technical, get one of these. If you've got an Android one and you're kind of like thinking, what's all the fuss about? The fuss is about when you're in the apps. I like to open an app, and then when I move into the next one, I just do the 4-finger swipe to move to the next app. What was that? Was it anything bad? No, it wasn't, don't worry. But rather than seeing the OS and thinking, ugh, pressing the square. It's actually a website about Street Fighter 2 and where it all started, so you know, nothing rude. So yeah, I tend to sort of say, right, I'm in this app, now I'm in that app, so I kind of dodge the operating system, if you know what I mean. I go straight into the application. So again, to answer my own question, I feel that I'm getting value for money out of it because I use it a lot. I did feel like I had to force myself to use it to begin with, but yeah, having had the previous generation ones, it just passes that little sweet spot of size and not quite pocketability, but you won't mind slipping into a bag. Not that I suggest you have a man bag, because I'm just not comfortable with them. You know, it's a bit weird. But yeah, 7 out of 10. You know, value for money. It could be a bit cheaper. I'm enjoying it. And I do have Android devices as well. I have Apple computers, I have an iMac, I have a MacBook Air, I have an iPad, but I have a Galaxy Note 3 phone, because I think from a phone point of view, the Android operating system is better suited to me. From a tablet point of view, for the power of the apps, this is better for me. I do have an Android tablet, I do have an Apple tablet. You know, I don't have an allegiance to anything, I just like stuff that works for me. This works for me at the moment. If it does start gathering dust, then so be it, I will get rid of it. I don't know. I am trying to make good use out of it, and now I'm really repeating myself. So I'm going to stop there because I've said all I need to say, and I'm going to have to upload this now, aren't I? So take care now. Bye-bye then. Is this thing on? It just beeped. Well, I recorded a couple of video blogs last night, but they were exactly the same as all my other videos. What I mean by that is I stood in the kitchen, told everyone that I've got nothing to film and I'm not interested, and that I've been busy with work. We've got more than one accent, because there's a difference between our accents as well, isn't there?
Do you reckon?
Yeah, you're more sort of like east side.
He's west side.
Yeah, and I'm like west side, mother care.